Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the June garden checklist video. I've been doing one of these each and every month this year, and I will continue to do them July, August, September, and so on and so forth the rest of the year. I hope they are helpful. Some of it is, carries over from one month to the other. Just because it was a good idea last month doesn't mean it's still not a good idea this month. But I want to make these complete videos, so I will mention those things again, some of the things that were in last month's video. But over the course of several months, the videos do become very, very different. So let's get started on June. One of the main things that happens this time of year, and this has always happened to me as a landscaper and as a nursery owner and as a garden center owner, anything in gardening in late May and June, you can kind of lose control of your landscape. Weeds, this is the time of year when the weeds are up and the sunlight's on them enough and the temperatures come up, and they can really take off. Weeds can really take over your garden very quickly. Your faster growing shrubs and trees can really take off very quickly. And so it's kind of easy to lose a little bit of control this time of year. So I highly recommend that you try to stay on top of those things, especially the weeding part, because the weeds that are growing so aggressively right now, it won't take them very long at all to come to seed. So getting rid of them as early as possible when you see them. They're easier to get out when they're small, and it prevents them from seeding themselves and making even more weeds. This is still a great time of year to prune any of your spring flowering shrubs, any of your shrubs that flowered in March or April or May. You still have time to prune those things, and they have enough during June, and they'll still have enough time to flush out and set their flower buds for the following spring. The things that flower in the early spring typically have to actually set their flower buds in the late summer or fall. So we are running out of time on some of those things. Your fall blooming perennials, things like asters and mums, those things you can prune right now. Even your fall blooming sedums can be pruned right now. You can cut those things in half. That will prevent them from being so leggy. Typically I'll cut those things in mid-May, and then I'll cut them again in mid-June, and that's a good idea on those. The other thing to be cutting back right now is your annuals. You can pinch your annual flowers. You can prune your perennials. Some of the things you may have planted this season so far might be just one little tall, stalky kind of a thing. Like I've got some zinnias back here that are like that. I'm going to go through and just take the flowers right off the top of them. That'll cause them to branch out. I'll typically do that pinching a couple times on newly planted annuals and perennials, and then I'll let them go. That'll help thicken them up for the summer. A lot of those things, as annuals, vegetables, and flowering perennials and your container plants, may need some additional fertilizer. Typically, I talked about fertilizing shrubs and trees and things way back in the March and April videos as being the best time of year to do that type of fertilizing. But those flowering things that really put on a show during the summer, and like I say, your vegetable garden, may need a second application of fertilizer. June is probably a good time to do that. I would do your weeding and things first to get the bed under control, maybe do some mulching if the ground is, if you've got any bare dirt, and then do your fertilizing. You would not want to be fertilizing your crabgrass as well, because crabgrass will like the fertilizer just as much as your flowering plants do. It's not just your flowering shrubs that can still be pruned right now. You can also do things like your non-flowering shrubs like boxwoods and hollies and things like that. You still have time, if those plants have gotten a little out of control, to really go after them very hard. You can kind of do a reset pruning on them. Some other things you can be doing now, your spring flowering bulbs have now probably died back to the ground in most areas, maybe in much cooler areas, not quite yet. Once they have, you can go ahead and cut that foliage off. If you need to divide them, if they were overcrowded or underperforming because they've been in the ground so long, you can dig them up and divide them. Some people will wait until the fall to do that. If you're going to wait, make sure you're marking where those bulbs are so that you can find them in the fall when it's time to do that. I continue to plant during the summer. I'm in zone 7B. It doesn't bother me at all. I have a video on my channel called my #1 summer planting tip. You can watch the video or not, but it's literally one thing. It's just pruning the plants a little bit when I plant them. So if I get a plant that has a lot of new growth on it and I'm putting it in the ground in June, and it's, the temperatures are in the 90s during the days, I will typically I'll take maybe an inch or two off the end of each branch on the plant, and that tends to counterbalance the root damage that you're doing to the plant when you're taking it out of the pot and putting it into the ground or whatever. Having, if you're having to pull the roots apart to keep them from being, if they're root bound when they come out of the container, that kind of compensates for that damage that you're doing. So again, you can go back and watch that video. Prune your plants, continue to plant. I don't have any problem with that. Some people will wait till the fall to plant at this point once we get into June, July, and August, just honestly not wanting to be out in the yard. Some other maintenance things for me is if there's any kind of disease problems or insect problems on my plants, I'm definitely making sure I'm cleaning out around the base of them. If there's any leaves falling off the plants, I want those things disposed of pretty quickly. That's a hiding place for slugs and other insects to find a place. I don't worry about early insect problems. The insects that will eat those insects, or the predators that will eat those insects, show up after them. And so people, sometimes we freak out about aphids and freak out about white flies and some of those things. You're always going to get those insect problems before the predators show up. The predators aren't sitting there waiting for them to come, they're chasing them around. And so I don't panic early on those things. I allow nature to kind of take its course, and those things will get cleaned up pretty quickly. Not all problems, but a lot of them. But I don't want to do a general insecticide spray, because this is what happens. If I do a general insecticide spray to take care of aphids on things or other chewing insects, then I'm going to kill the predators at the same time, and then those chewing insects breed faster than the predators can, and then you really put the whole thing out of balance. And those problems, then you have to do, then you're in a situation where you're having to spray for those things. So I just let it take its course. I don't mind a chewed hole in this or that. It doesn't bother me at all. I've had above average rainfall thus far this season, and I haven't had to do a lot of irrigation. If you do have an irrigation system, it's good to be working on that and be prepared for your summer watering. I am about to install drip irrigation in this yard. I have a series of videos on my channel from last year if you want to look those up and learn some things about drip irrigation. I'll have a new series on my channel coming up as I irrigate in this particular yard. One thing I like to do for my vegetable garden is I've actually left some space over there, and I don't plant everything on May 15th or June 1st or whenever it is the time you're putting your vegetables in the ground. I'll leave a little bit of space, and toward the end of June, I will, you can start seeds for those things now if you wanted to do things from seed. There'll also be vegetable plants available to you toward the beginning of July. I'll come back in, like I said, end of June, plug some additional vegetables in. That way I'm not getting all of them at the exact same time. And so I do succession planting on my vegetables. One very important thing we want to be paying attention to in the garden in June is standing water, because this is the time of year mosquitoes are really going to get bad. So dump your bird baths occasionally. Make sure you don't have standing water around the base of your gutters. Just dump out your saucers under your containers occasionally, and that kind of thing. Just make sure you're paying attention to that, and your backyard doesn't end up full of mosquitoes and you're not able to enjoy it. Try to stay on top of that. Another thing that can get out of control this time of year, does get out of control this time of year, is vines. If you have any flowering vines, or even your vegetable vines, like some of your vining cucumbers and beans, and well, tomatoes are vines as well. All of those things, you need to be staying on top of them because they can put on feet of growth in June, and will put on feet of growth. And if you're not staying on top of them, they end up where you're going to have to cut them down later to get control of them. Again, June is the month that I propagate plants. And so if you follow my channel, some people are followers of my channel because of propagation videos. I have tons of propagation videos on this channel. If you have plants in your yard, you're interested in making more plants from the plants you already have, you can take a look at those videos. I am actually, over the course of June, going to be building a propagation greenhouse in this yard, and you can follow along with that. So a few more things on your vegetable plants and then fruiting plants. This is the time of year that blueberries start to mature typically, and blackberries. Might be a good idea to throw a net over them so the birds don't get half of them. If you have fruit trees and there's an excessive amount of fruit on the trees, it is good to thin some of that off. I've got some strawberries in the garden. They're pretty newly planted, but when I start to get some runners on them, I will actually put some mulch or some soil in between the runners, and those runners will root into the ground, and then I can divide them later. Figs typically a little later in the season before they start to mature, but the netting that you use on the blueberries can be transferred over to a fig tree later, just to protect them. Usually squirrels drive me crazy on the figs. They don't seem to like them, but they steal them and chew them. This is the time of year when onions and garlic and potatoes are typically ready. I've got beautiful potatoes over here that I'll be harvesting later in June when the foliage declines on them. This is you got to stay on top of the suckering on your tomato plants. I'll show you that as I'm talking about it. But those suckers will create additional leaders and will take energy away. You don't want too many leaders on your tomato plants because you typically have lots of small tomatoes rather than the plant being able to put energy into that single leader and maturing the fruit along that single leader. I've left my leafy greens in place, actually just a couple plants of each variety of leafy greens, meaning my lettuce and arugula and kale and broccoli if I had done broccoli. And I let them come to seed, and then I collect the seed when the plants decline. If you follow my channel, you can see how I do that, collect that seed later in June, and how I'll store it for my fall crop of lettuce plants. A couple other things that are important in the vegetable garden: if you direct seeded any of your seeds, like beans or whatever it is, cucumbers, make sure you're going back and thinning those, getting some space between them. So, read the spacing on the packaging. Some of them are going to be 6 inches apart, 8 inches apart. Typically, we seed them way too close together, and they will underperform if they're that crowded. Make sure we're picking vegetables as you go, because if you allow the fruit to stay on there too long, the plant will think it came to seed, and it will definitely start to slow down on you. Watering, of course, June is the time of year we're going to be doing some watering. I touched on installing irrigation and that kind of thing. Whether you're hand watering or using irrigation, make sure you're watering things very thoroughly and then letting them dry out during the summer. Nobody can really tell you what that pattern is. Soils are different, temperatures are different, humidity can be a huge factor in how fast things dry out. So nobody can really tell you what the pattern is for watering in your yard. What you're going to have to do is water things very thoroughly and then check them periodically, and dig down around plants, dig down in containers, dig down around the base of your shrubs, go over, do the same thing in the vegetable garden, and figure out what that pattern is. It may be that you need to water every third day. It might be that you only need to water once a week, depending on what it is. Your container plants are going to demand more water as the summer goes on, and your hanging baskets, same thing. They're maybe require very, very little as you're putting them in. By the end of June, they may need almost daily watering. June is a great time to be thinking about the hummingbirds and drawing hummingbirds into your yard. I've got lots of plants here that I have purposely put into the yard for hummingbirds. Salvia being the best example of all of those. Whatever type of salvias or sages you can find are great for hummingbirds, and then put out a hummingbird feeder as well. Those of you who watch my channel know I don't spend a whole lot of time talking about lawns, but here in the South in the month of June, it is a good time to overseed warm season grasses. So if you wanted to seed with Bermuda or centipede, this would be the time to actually do those from seed. Also be a time where you could probably find sod as well. Maintaining your lawn, watering is one of the keys here. You need probably 1 inch of water a week, and again, a lot of that is determined by heat and humidity and those factors. But a couple times a week, applying a 1/2 inch of water is usually perfect. Make sure that you're mowing at the proper height. If you have fescue lawns, bluegrass lawns, whatever type of lawn you have, make sure that you're mowing it at the highest setting during the peak of the summer, or the highest recommended setting during the peak of the summer. So if you look at something like fescue and somebody says it's best mowed between 3 inches and 4 inches, I'm going 4 inches for sure. During the heat of the summer, it does shade the soil, prevents a lot of that evaporation from happening, and I'm keeping my mower blade super sharp Okay, last thing, it is not too early to be planning for fall. And so if you're in a garden center, box store, wherever you shop, or if you order your seeds online, I would go ahead and consider finding your cool season vegetable seeds for fall. And that's going to be lettuces and, again, arugula and kale and spinach and broccoli and cauliflower and all those things that you would grow in the fall. Collards would be included in that. And of course, you could probably find fall blooming perennials right now. Things like asters would be available, perennial mums, things like that. And I'm a huge fan of going to garden centers on a monthly basis. You know, instead of going, and I've said this many times, instead of going and filling up your car in one trip to the garden center, go and buy a few things that are in flower and then go back the next month and go back the next month. So sometime during mid to late June, a lot of the spring flowering, obviously the spring flowering shrubs are done, your spring flowering trees are done. A lot of your perennial flowers will be done at that point. Of course, your spring flowering bulbs and even a lot of your summer flowering bulbs will be done by then. A trip over to the garden center in mid to late June, you'll discover a whole new group of things that bloom in the heat of the summer, and we'll give you options for having continual color in your space. So thank you very much for following along with these monthly to-do videos. I'll be back at the beginning of July with another one.